Every mammal your size needs fur to survive, except you. 2 million years ago, your ancestors were covered head to toe in it, just like every other ape on Earth. Today, you have almost none. For over a century, scientists couldn't agree on why or even prove exactly when it happened. There's no fossil of the last hairy human, no photograph, no written record. And yet, we now have a surprisingly confident answer. It didn't come from a skeleton, it came from something crawling through your hair right now. Stick around, the answer is not what you expect. You are walking, not for fun, for lunch. You are a member of Homo erectus, one of the first humans to travel long distances on 2 legs, chasing animals that are faster than you in a sprint, but not in a marathon. This is your superpower. You cannot outrun a gazelle, but you can outlast one. Run it into exhaustion under the African sun, and eventually it simply gives up. Humans didn't win the animal kingdom with claws or speed. We won with stamina. There's just one problem. Running generates heat, a lot of it, and you're covered in the same thick fur your ape ancestors always wore. That fur, so useful for keeping warm at night, is now cooking you alive at noon. So evolution made a trade. Generation by generation, the thickest fur thinned out, and sweat glands, millions of them, multiplied across bare skin. Water evaporating off skin cools the body far better than air moving through fur ever could. Losing your coat wasn't a fashion failure. It was quite literally the reason you could keep running. Most researchers today point to this: heat management during long-distance walking and running as the strongest explanation we have for why we went bald. But it's worth knowing the other theories on the table. Some scientists argue losing fur meant losing fewer ticks and lice, since a furry coat is basically a 5-star hotel for parasites. And you've probably heard the internet's favourite theory, that our ancestors were semi-aquatic apes who lost their fur swimming for food. It's a fun idea. Most anthropologists just don't think the evidence supports it. Here's the twist nobody expects. Losing your fur didn't just cool you down, it exposed you. Bare skin under the African sun means serious sun damage, generation after generation. So your body did something else. It got dark. Genetic evidence tells us that by around 1.2 million years ago, humans already carried the gene variants for darker skin, a kind of built-in sunscreen, which means the naked ape and the dark-skinned ape are, quite literally, the same invention. But hairless, sunburn-proof and fast is a great combination for chasing lunch on the equator. It is a terrible combination for surviving literally anywhere else. And that, a few 100,000 years later, became a very expensive problem. So here's the real mystery. If clothing doesn't fossilize and no cave painting comes with a timestamp, how could anyone possibly know when humans started covering up? The answer scientists landed on sounds like a joke. It isn't. Before we go further, let's hand the microphone to a very unlikely witness. Not a human, not a scientist, a louse.
Hello, I live on your head. My cousins, however, live somewhere far less glamorous, in your clothes. We've been arguing about real estate for a very long time, and it turns out our family fight accidentally solved one of archaeology's hardest questions.
Clothing doesn't fossilize well. Ancient hides rot, ancient furs decompose. There is no 300,000-year-old jacket sitting in a museum drawer. So for decades, scientists had almost no way to know when humans first got dressed. Then someone had a strange idea. Body lice, the ones that live in clothing, not hair, could not have existed before clothing did. No clothes, no habitat, no body lice. So if scientists could figure out when body lice split off from head lice on the evolutionary tree, they'd know when clothes were invented. Using DNA sequencing, researchers calculated that answer, roughly 170,000 years ago. An earlier study using older methods estimated around 107,000 years ago. Either way, the message is the same. Humans were wearing something long before anyone carved a needle. So next time someone tells you lice are useless, tell them one tiny bug helped rewrite the history of human clothing. You're welcome. But knowing roughly when clothing began is one thing. Knowing what that first clothing actually looked like, and how uncomfortable, ugly, and desperate it really was, is a very different story. Back to you. You are a modern human now, Homo sapiens, and the world has changed. Africa is sliding into an ice age. The nights that used to be merely cool are now dangerous. Your bare, sweat-cooled skin, your greatest advantage under the noon sun, is now working against you. You have no fur left to keep the cold out. So you do the next best thing, you take someone else's. An animal skin around your shoulders is not a costume. It is stolen insulation. Fur you didn't grow yourself, borrowed from something that did. Simple, effective, and it just changed everything. Long before anyone invented a needle, humans were almost certainly working animal hides in simpler ways, scraping off fat and flesh with sharpened stones so the skin wouldn't rot, then wrapping it around the body like a heavy, hairy blanket. Stone scraping tools, built for exactly this kind of work, go back hundreds of thousands of years, long before the earliest confirmed sewn garment. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't tailored, it probably smelled terrible, but a draped, scraped hide meant the difference between surviving an Ice Age night and not waking up at all. And here's the part historians find genuinely wild. Some researchers argue this invention, simple, ugly, unglamorous clothing, is one of the reasons your ancestors were able to walk out of Africa at all, into colder land no bare-skinned human could have survived otherwise. But wrapping a hide around yourself is one thing. Making it fit, sealing out wind, keeping your hands free, surviving somewhere genuinely brutal, that required an invention that hadn't been made yet. And when it finally arrived, it didn't come from a genius. It came from something barely bigger than a toothpick. Somewhere around 76,000 years ago, in what is now South Africa, someone shaped a sliver of bone into a point, not sharp enough to be a weapon, too small to be a spear tip. It was something new, an awl built for one job only, punching holes through leather. An awl alone doesn't sew anything together. It just makes the hole. But a hole is an opening, literally and figuratively, for an idea that changes clothing forever. Fast forward tens of thousands of years to icy Siberia. In a cave later named Denisova, an extinct cousin of ours, a human relative called a Denisovan, carved something remarkable out of bird bone. A needle roughly 7 centimeters long, complete with a threaded eye at one end. It is one of the oldest sewing needles ever found, dated to around 50,000 years old. Around the same window of time, other groups across Siberia and China were independently arriving at the same idea. A needle with an eye holding thread steady while it pulled hide together, seam by seam. This sounds small. It is not small. A loose hide draped over your shoulders lets in wind at every gap. A sewn hide, fitted sleeves, a closed seam at the side, a hood shaped to your head, traps your body heat instead of leaking it out. Historians have called this shift the difference between merely surviving winter and actually thriving in it. For the first time, humans weren't just borrowing an animal's fur, they were engineering their own piece by piece, stitch by stitch, custom built for the body wearing it. You'd think that's the end of the story. Warm, fitted, functional, problem solved. But a discovery in a small cave was about to prove that humans wanted something from their clothes that had nothing to do with survival at all. Here's the honest part of this story. No single fossil tells us all of this. There is no perfectly preserved 170,000-year-old jacket in a drawer somewhere. Every date you just heard came from scientists reading extremely indirect clues, genetics, chemistry, microscopes, and reconstructing a history that never left a single complete outfit behind. A parasite's genetic clock told us roughly when clothing began. A shaped sliver of bone told us when hides became garments instead of blankets. A handful of coloured threads, smaller than an eyelash, told us when clothing stopped being purely practical and became personal. It also means this story isn't finished. Somewhere right now, a researcher with a new technique might push one of these dates further back, or overturn it completely. That's not a weakness of the science, that's exactly how it's supposed to work, which leaves one last question. The one this entire video has really been building toward. You started this story bare-skinned under an African sun, built for endurance and nothing else. You end it wrapped in a fitted, hand-sewn, dyed garment, built by choice rather than necessity. Somewhere in between, losing our fur and reinventing it out of hide, bone and thread became one of the quiet reasons our species made it this far. The next time you put on a jacket without thinking twice, remember that everyday motion took 2 million years, one extinct cousin, and an army of lice to arrive at.